Hey everyone. Oh, there we go. This is Robert Jackson, and thank you for tuning into the podcast. And today, as we are continuing my streak of interviews throughout this week, like this has got to be uh, this kind of goes to show how slow VO has kind of been for me. But anyways, I'm just happy to do this, and we're going to be chatting with another voice actor who is currently based in the UK, and they've been in this business for a while. So I'm just gonna get straight to the introduction and introduce James Brown for the show. Thank you so much for joining me, my good sir.
Very good to meet you, Robert. Thank you very much for having me.
Yep, anytime, man. So I guess we'll just get right into this. I know that this year has been it's been a whirlwind for so many different reasons. So, how would you describe 2023 in a nutshell, just in general?
For me, it's been amazing. I won't lie. I've been doing this I've been doing it for about 10 years, off and on, but only full time for two. I always count that like when I set my website up, proclaiming myself as a voice actor. So that was at the end of 2000, and that was at the end of 2021. Um, but yeah, this year has gone really well. Business has been great. It's I've been able to sort of go into a few different avenues, find a few different ways of rhythmically acquiring customers, which is, I think for most VOs is the biggest problem. Is actually working out how to run a business, especially for me. And Coming up to the end of quarter, or coming up to the beginning of quarter four, midway through now, aren't we actually? Yeah, I would like. There are certain things I might have liked to have done more of. I would have liked to have done more video games. I still haven't got the agent that I was looking for, but to be honest, I do this for a living now, man. I do it full time. I do the job that I absolutely love. I run my own hours, I set my own business, and I'm in control of my life and my family's future. And that is a pretty damn good feeling.
Right on, man. Yeah, it's kind of, the same. Um, it's just a lot of growing and just a lot of building, the business. But at the end of the day, we wake up and we're just doing what it's just amazing that we are actually blessed, to do this every single day. Like you get up and then you get in the booth and, you know, like just make a lot of that magic happen. You know what I mean?
And the
Yeah, and it's
diversity
just a
is
really
great.
good view. Oh, that too. Um,
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was also gonna say, like, yeah, it's a really good feeling. I know that we got a little to discuss about the business and working in the UK. So I guess I'll just start off this conversation with since you are based in um in the UK, like I said, I haven't really had a lot of voiceover artists on that are based in the region. So how would you say that the day-to-day life of remote voice actor, because I know that a lot of us record remotely from home, so I'm just wondering what a day-to-day life is like
So,
for
like in the
Mr.
UK,
James
I
Brown.
would imagine it's fairly similar to the life of a remote voice actor in the US. In all honesty, we're not sort of stuck out in the woods or anything. It's okay. We do get access to basic facilities and electricity and stuff. It's the only thing I would say is I live in a little town at the bottom of the country. It's called Torquay. It's a seaside town. It's actually the town where I was born. I went away for like 20 years, came back for some family reasons, and it's been. This is the sort of town where I'll be honest, you tend to think people come to die rather than come to work. So having the opportunity to set something up that's not like a bed and breakfast hotel and make it work has been amazing because the cost of living down here is much better than it is in somewhere like London or the bigger cities in the UK. And you have the seaside very close. You have nature on your doorstep. It's it's a nice place to be. It's a good place to have a family as well. So those are big pluses for me. And to be honest, I really, really like being able to do everything from here. I like being able to get up and either record in my pajamas or whatever if I want, or I can, dress up for your good self and actually put some clothes on, and do Zoom interviews or some Zoom networking, and occasionally get out. If there are recordings to be done in studios, those do tend to happen in London. They can happen in Bristol. It's about a couple of hours away from me, and I really enjoy the lifestyle. Really enjoy it. There's not much more I can say, to be honest. If you've got the equipment, you've got the ability to make money from my house. What's not to like?
Yeah, for sure. Um, and it's really true because, working remotely from home means, I mean, I know like for LA in particular, it has definitely been like, okay, so remote recording is an option, but I know that since we're kind of starting back, doing this in studios, it's like, yeah, you got to get up and, deal with the traffic and, all of that stuff. But for most of the time, like most of the auditions and most of what we do is, recorded from home, which I still really do appreciate that. Now, it does come with its own set of challenges, but overall, honestly, as long as as we're creating all of these stories, that personally, getting behind the microphone and just playing these characters is what gives me joy personally. Um, like, I don't know about you, but that's definitely how I feel. Like, yeah, I mean, it is a business, but, having fun and learning every day is what makes it so rewarding. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is the rediscovering the joy in acting has been one of the great pleasures of coming into doing this full time. I mean, I haven't been on stage for about 15 years, but
Yeah.
given the opportunity to play some characters in video games or given the opportunity to do some characters for animations has been it takes you right back, and it gives you that joy that you had and I had when I was in college, and coming out of that and sort of did it as a great pleasure. But you think that's all it is, you know what I mean? You don't think you're gonna get paid for doing this. And then you find that now, oh cripes, actually maybe I can. Maybe there are characters that I can explore. Maybe I can use that
Mhm.
experience. Maybe there, and that's a wonderful feeling. I mean, the problem is, I think, is there's like you're in LA, so you're an actor central, right? I don't know, I don't know a massive amount about you, Robert. To be honest with you, are you a VO 100% full time? Are you an actor? Are you a stage actor as well? What's your bag, my friend?
Pretty much, I've been doing this for 6 years, and I have been doing this part-time like before, but now I'm starting to really dive into this, getting into the full-time atmosphere. I'm already working on, a couple of other projects and having to get that because I know for every voice actor for the business, you got to get that demo and website done. So that's definitely something that's been on my to-do list for a while.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, just definitely taking the jump and doing this, going full swing ahead at this. You know what I mean?
I think the what so do you have a day job, or is it?
Um, this is sort of my day job, but I don't know how to describe it. But
You got a few things going.
basically, I'm in the no, no, no. It's all good. But basically, kind of like, you know, I'm in the process of looking for another sustainable job because here in LA, yeah, it's a bit yikes. So yeah, I definitely do think that if you have like, I don't know what they call it, a survival job or just a day job that really does help pay,
Yeah.
your rent and bills and stuff, like that can also be really helpful. Um,
LA is
Because I know that
expensive.
navigating the, yeah, like, and I was also going to say navigating the business and, working at this, like, if you want to go pro at this, like, it takes a lot of work and it is really hard to break into. And it's really hard to keep yourself, financially, you know, in check and like stabilized because like here in LA can be especially in today's, climate and landscape, it can be super unpredictable, let me tell you.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I think in terms of like, I mean, you couldn't be in a better place for the best opportunities for VO in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
world.
yeah.
However,
Yeah.
of course, those opportunities for the best VO opportunities in the world are coming to you via some of the biggest agencies in the world. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they are not going to everybody who's hanging out and being a jobbing actor in LA. It's that's the difficult bit. I suppose you may have access, fortunately, to some like resources and potentially to some, actually be able to meet those agents face to face. That would be pretty cool.
Mhm.
And you're in the right place for that. So who knows, man? There's at least you're in the chance to potentially get into a studio and meet some of the right people. That's the biggest problem with being so far away is that I literally do 99.99999% of everything in this room. And this is a room where in a road where everyone is over 75 and you have to walk around, about like a mile and a half to come into contact with civilization. So it's not quite the hustle bustle of Hollywood, shall we say. And I remember I was in LA about 20 years ago and I didn't have a car and I was thinking like, oh God, I managed to see about like a square block. It didn't work very well. I think next come back, I've got to come back and drive. But the business aspect of it is the bit that is the most important bit because if you don't focus on okay, first of all, anyone can talk into a microphone. Anyone can do that. But can anyone sell if they're going into a microphone? Can you make someone feel something? Can you build trust with your voice? Can you inhabit can you make someone feel? That's the difference, I suppose, between somebody just talking into a mic and doing what we do professionally. That hopefully is what separates us in terms of the training and the ability to make our audience react either in the way that our clients wants us to make them react. That's the skill of it, and we do that through either if it's a brand and you want to create the great thing about especially in the with the British accent. I love working. I've lots of American clients, bless them all. Um, you like the British accent. Thank you very much for that. It's very very helpful for me. And it seems to be that, along with the Southern American accent, funnily enough, that are considered to be very, very trustworthy accents in the United States. So that is a great help for me. So I get to be like the man who hopefully makes you believe in the brand that I'm advertising, and that's a great help. Um, but unless you're out there hustling, unless you're contacting people, unless you're attempting to build your brand, you don't have a business. You're just kind of playing at it, and that's fine. And everyone needs to train, everyone needs to try, everyone needs to build things up. But there's a big difference between you can be such a talented voiceover, you can be an amazingly talented actor, but if you have no will or ability to, and it's not ability, it's will really. It's kind of the hustle. If you don't have the hustle to make a business work out of it, you aren't gonna succeed in the business. It's as simple as that. It's a
Yeah.
grind, man.
Yeah. Thank you for answering a lot of my questions.
I'm sorry, I just
Uh,
I might go off on a bit there because I do
no, no,
love
no,
talking.
no, it's all good.
Great, it's a
It's
pleasure.
that's pretty much what this podcast is for anyway. Yeah, that's literally like how a lot of my episodes go. Like if you sit and watch a couple of my interviews, like we ramble on quite a bit. So it's all good, my man. Um, Let me see. And so when you first got your start, like in the business for, I want to say you mentioned over 10 years, right? So how much would you say that um, like it definitely evolved, like, or at least in the UK, industry. Like, how would you say that the business, what were some of the biggest changes that you've noticed, like over the 10 years that you've been working in VO?
So I when I say I've been doing this for 10 years, I have been doing it for 10 years, but I was living in Russia and I was working as a journalist over there. I was making documentaries. Another tangent to go across. But back in the day when things were a bit friendly with Russia, there were a lot of Russian companies who wanted to do business with the West. They needed English voice for their advertisements, and they either wanted an American voice or they wanted a British voice. I got a lot of the British gigs for that. That was basically me going into a studio, recording on what then was an hourly rate, and leaving rather cluelessly. But that was a side gig for me at that point. That was just something that I did, and I thought, oh, this pays nicely, and I would do it, and I would leave. It never, ever, ever, ever occurred to me while I was doing that this could potentially be an actual business, that I could do this full time. It didn't cross my mind. And it was only when I did that for several years, and then the pandemic hit, and I came back to the UK for family reasons and a few other reasons. And it was, well, cripes, what the hell am I going to do now? I was still doing journalism, I was still writing, but my original thought, which was to try and make documentaries in the UK, COVID. So fabulous, yeah, just a great time to come back and try and do that. Everything shut down. The jobs that were there wanted to pay you about like $10 for a day's work, and people were clamoring all over themselves to get there. So nope, that's not going to work. And I started looking into the idea of VO, and it turned out that yeah, there are people doing this full time, and there are people making a lot of money doing this. And both of those things appealed to me. So that was a great realization. So I threw myself into training, and I joined we have several good sites here in the UK. We have something called Gravy for the Brain. It's an excellent site. I also joined the VoiceOver Network. I also joined something called VoiceOver Kickstart. I tried to immerse myself as much as I could in the business. And I trained, and I got myself the equipment, and I turned this spare room, which was a spare room, into a studio, and got going. And then it was like, fabulous. Now I have all the equipment, I have some of the skills. What the hell now? Where's the work going to come from?
Oh yeah, and it's like it's the what now part that always
Right?
gets me. Yeah, but continue.
So what do we have? We have pay-to-play sites. This is where I got my first start. The first thing I did was go onto voices.com. When I was at voices.com, put up my profile, paid my subscription, got a gig within about a week. Paid $100. I thought, this is great. I'm going to be insanely rich. Obviously, it's going to be really easy. And this is all I have to do. Then, like, obviously, months went by, nothing else happened on voices.com, and I was doing shed loads of auditions, nothing. And then you realize that this is not quite this easy. So you look for other ways. I went to Upwork, I went on to Fiverr. I started thinking, could I do this? How else would I? How do I treat this as a business? I'd been employed my entire life. I'd never ever had to think about how I generate clients. Never had to think about where I'm going to find, actually how to make it work in terms of how I can pay myself, feed myself, and grow my business. It's all kind of like, I am a creative, darling. I am an actor. I am a journalist. I will do these things, and people will pay me. And that's, and getting out of that mindset, because that's the mindset that leaves you poor, talented but poor, probably, because you don't have this, because you think, why has nobody discovered me? Why? This is terribly unjust. But unfortunately, that's just the way it works. You have to put it in, unless you're one of the 0.111%, right? Who lands the insanely good gig and then off you go. But otherwise, it's a hustle. And I've done bits. You look at different strands of what could be your business. So direct marketing can be one of your business strands. Paid plays, like Voices and Voice123 can be one of your strands. Agents can be one of your strands. They'll send you auditions. Independent video games can be one of your strands. I go to video game conferences here. I went to one called Adventure X in London on the last weekend. Absolutely brilliant, because you meet incredibly talented game designers doing really great stories, and they need voice actors. And if you haven't done a lot of games and you're not doing Grand Theft Auto, which most of us aren't, let's face it, then it's a fantastic way to build up some credits and to get experience in a really fun, and most. Do you know what's a joy as well? Because you get great scripts. These people can write, and I don't know about you, but like a lot of the scripts I get are not brilliantly written. Not the gaming scripts, but in terms of like the corporate stuff. And you read them and you do your best with them. But it is lovely. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely thing when you get a script that's written by somebody who can write. You know, that's again when the joy comes back.
Yeah, and there's also like there's plenty of clients and projects out there, and it's so great that there's a lot of different avenues and different fields of voiceover. Like you got your commercial, you got promo, character video games. There's pretty much like an entire market, like, and it's really funny at how like you ever have that moment where you're like, oh, I'm gonna be really good at character, but then it turns out commercials or promo is kind of like your bread and butter, or vice versa. Has that ever happened?
The vast, vast majority of what I do is corporate. So it tends to be explainers. There's a lot of e-learning. The commercials, some, but they tend to be non-broadcast. And of course, you get a broadcast commercial, you get it on GVAA rates, or in the UK, we have something called Gravy for the Brain rate card rates. That tends to be the way people charge over here. Amazing. Then you're doing really, really well, and you've managed to feed your family for a couple of months or more, and isn't that nice? So it's I mean of course, I think like most of us have fantasies about doing the AAA game and doing the network television animation, because why the hell wouldn't we? Why most of us are in this business to be as successful as we can, and to do things which give us massive amounts of pleasure, and that does for me. I think it does for most people who are in our business. But you have to get yourself in a position to get those opportunities. So those kind of opportunities tend to come through bigger agents. So an agent as a whole for most voice actors represent a very small percentage of their income, because agents work with lots of different people, and those massive jobs are few and far between. Unfortunately, you could get them, then maybe your career skyrockets, super duper fabulous. But most of us are hunting for other work almost all the time outside of that. And you go and you refine your character work, and you work on your acting, and you hopefully get to a chance where a bigger agent will take you on, or you get a smaller agent who will give you, and then you find some credits with the video game world, and that gets you more attention when you apply to a bigger agent. Because unfortunately, it's not like you can go into Rockstar and say, hi, here's my demo. You might want to cast me for your next big game. Those are all farmed out to the best voice acting agents in the UK and in the US, because if you're making a game of that magnitude, you want the absolute best. And why the hell not, right?
Sure. Um, so when you market yourself, like I know on your website, it's definitely very, it has a lot of details, it's very punctual. So when it comes to presenting yourself, whether through social media, websites, anywhere, um, so what is the best way without like I know confidence is definitely a major factor, but what is something that you do like, if you're selling your services without coming across as like, I don't know, desperate, if that's the right word? I don't know.
You don't want to come across as desperate, no.
Yeah, totally.
What you do want to come
Doing it
across,
correctly, yeah. Is what I'm trying to say.
what you
Yeah.
want to come across is when you're dealing with people in the commercial, the corporate world, is you're there to solve their problems. It's not about you; it's about them. It's about you being able to take some of their pain away. So, are they having trouble communicating with their clients? Why is that? Maybe they have a fantastic product, but they don't quite know how to present it. They don't quite know how make people believe in that. That's where you and your voice can solve that problem for them. Isn't that fabulous? You have something, you have a really good problem. You have someone who's amazingly, talented, they're focused down the line, but you get them in front of the microphone, get them in front of the camera, they clam up. Can't do it. Happens so often. But that's why we are there to solve that problem for that person. At the end of the day, it's all about what you can do to help your clients. We are there to solve a certain client's problem. Okay, so a client has a big load of, it's a big company, right? It's very important that it follows health and safety rules for legal reasons and for the safety of its employees. Those rules have to go in your ear and stay there. They can't just go in your ear and out the other side. So if you have someone who drones on like this and then they are not going to listen and people are going to get into accident, you know what I mean? Right. So again, it's that is where we help people to remember those important rules that keep that company safe and keep them safe. Because otherwise it's a legislation hell and nobody needs that in business. So there's another problem that a voice actor solves because they know how to communicate with people. You know how to engage with people. You know how to get a reaction from people. Most importantly, I think, is, at least for me, is that I generate trust from the people who listen to me. As a journalist, if you're reporting the news, it's very important that the people who watch you while you do that believe what you say and believe that you are not leading them down the garden path. So if you can do that with a brand, then you're onto a winner because that is going to make people pick up the phone, click on the website, and ultimately put more money in the person who's hiring you's pocket, which is why they hire you. So engagement, trust, and belief, that's what a voice actor should be able to do. That's what a successful voiceover will be able to do, because otherwise, no one can hire you.
Yeah. And with all of that said, would you say that, part of the journey and the process, it definitely helps you because I know you came from a background of theater. So would you say that having that background definitely helps you when it comes to character immersion and placing yourself into, you know, becoming the character in a way?
Do you mean with acting roles specifically?
Yeah.
I guess. The thing was with me, I had my confidence not quite badly towards the end of in my early 20s. And it's weird because I have quite a thick skin, and I think you kind of have to be in this business. But I got
Oh,
told
but
that,
yeah.
okay, you're a great singer, you're not a good actor. And I never forgot it. I still remember it now. And it hurt. And it was like, and now I'm a lot older and wiser. It's like I should have just said "fuck you." Sorry, you can edit that out. But or if it's okay, you can leave it in. But it's a whole thing about letting someone else dictate how you feel about yourself, and that comes with time, unfortunately. Uh, Now that's exactly what I would say, but at the time, it really upset me, and it kind of moved me into a direction away from away from the theatre, away from musical theatre is what I was doing at that point. But now I'm older. Now I have more confidence in my abilities, and now I care less about people. You know, it's not. I do care about what people think about me, but I don't really. It doesn't impact me in the same way. So it's, and I believe in myself. I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe that there is potential to do great things, but there's potential to do a really good job in many different ways. For me, I hope there is, and I love that that's come back. I love that those doors are open to me again, and I can make them open. Just have to be persistent. You have to be you have to train. Just work on it. You have to find the people who will, do your research, make the efforts, and eventually you'll get in front of the right person. It will happen, but you gotta hustle. You gotta hustle.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just sitting here letting this information just flow through my mind. Um, but thank you so much. Like, I really do need this. Like, we're just gonna have to accept, this tough love, and it's kind of like something that we need to grow and continue to improve because, like I said, we never stop learning every day. S- Um, and I guess on that note, anything that you want to share and promote? What are some projects that you wanted to talk about right now specifically? Your social media, any closing thoughts, just anything that comes to mind.
Of course. If anybody would like to get in touch with me, my website is jamesbrownvoice.com. You can contact me on LinkedIn. That's James Brown Media. The website's best, but I'm always happy to talk about VO. I'm always happy to give advice about what might suit a project or what might help a particular type of client. I've worked with so many different ones that fortunately I think I have a good handle on what works and what doesn't. And the great thing is I also have a roster of VOs that I know in the UK and beyond that if I can't help, I'll probably know somebody who will. So that's the best way to get in touch with me. Um, there are 1 million James Browns, unsurprisingly in the world, but that's that's the you have to make the best of it, really. So that's why I'm the voiceover with soul. Because after 40 years of basically getting the ow, get on up when people come behind you and find your name for the first time, I figured it's about time to make it work for me, right? Even after the great
Absolutely
man's
for sure.
passed, the great beyond.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me see. Any last bit of advice that you want to, share? Because I know you've shared like a lot of really great pieces of information, but what is something that you wanted to close out with in
Um,
particular?
Advice, I think that don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it, but be prepared that you must put a great deal of effort into it. It isn't, well, I said that anyone can talk into a mic. Anyone can talk into a mic by a mic, talk into it. That
Mhm.
isn't going to make you a voiceover artist. That's not going to make you a voiceover actor. You're going to have to work on your acting. You're going to have to work on your improvisation. You're going to have to work on how you are with other people. If you want to make people believe you as a video game, as a character actor, as a voiceover for commercial, for corporate work, you have to be you have to know how to connect with people. People are important. Talk to people. Talk to your peers. Go on to networking groups. Find out about what problems people have in their businesses, and communicate with people. Because the better communicator you are, the more likely you are to be able to make this business work for you. If you can't communicate, it won't work. And very importantly, realize that you could be the greatest and most talented impressionist, empathetic, sorry, VO in the world. But if you don't know how to find clients and customers, you're going to be very poor. So business acumen and finding out about how to market yourself and your brand and getting a brand are vital. invest in that. It's a fantastic investment of your time and your money. And without it, you won't succeed.
Yeah. I'll totally include all of these resources. Um, by the time this goes up, it's all going to be in the description for once this is posted on YouTube and Spotify. So definitely feel free to send me those, once we wrap this up. But regardless, thank you so much, James, for being here. I really enjoyed doing this with you. And I wish you all the best. And I wish everybody all the best watching this. And until then, stay tuned for more Station Square. This is Jackson signing out. And have a good weekend. Bye bye.